morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever, wherever you're listening. Thank you so much for making me a part of your day. My name is Lee Parham. You might know me as Lego Lee or Lego Lee 329 from Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Patreon, you name it. I'm all over this thing we call the internet, and this is the Brickology podcast, the study of small plastic bricks. How are you doing today? I sincerely hope you're just having the best possible day. It is beautiful and it is sunny outside. It's officially October. It is now for real fall and the weather feels like fall, which is just my personal favorite weather. It feels great outside, yet I'm indoors recording a podcast and probably won't even go outside today because that's just the kind of person I am. Thank you so much again for joining me today for Brickology episode 31. This is the penultimate episode of season 3. We've worked through a lot of weird kinks this season. This season did not go exactly as planned. My pattern got all screwed up, but ultimately, I think all the episodes are really solid. I'm very proud of how this season has turned out, and everything for the rest of the season should run smoothly, and I'm excited for season 4 to begin in just a few weeks. And because it's October, that means the first couple episodes of season 4 are going to be a little spooky themed. Get ready for some Halloween stuff, y'all. I am really excited about that. But let's get through the rest of season 3 while we're at it. This is, like I said, the penultimate, the second to last episode of season 3. And this is the last license-themed episode of the season. Next week's episode is TBD. At the end of each season finale I've done on Brickology has been a fan vote episode. So look out for a question on my Instagram. It's LegoLee329 on Instagram. I'll be throwing up one of those question stickers on my Instagram story at some point next week, is where you can submit what you would like to see as next week's theme for Brickology episode 32, season 3, episode 10. Look out for that. That is where you can submit your responses, and then I'll take the top 2 vote getters and do a poll and put them head to head, and whichever of those 2 wins will be next week's topic. So look out for that, because that means the fans will decide what the next episode of Brickology is. But before we get into today's episode, I gotta shamelessly plug myself. Always. So find me online, Instagram, check me out, Twitter, LegoLee329 for both of those handles. I do have a Facebook page that is also LegoLee329, and of course I have a YouTube channel. Also, I have a Patreon account. Now, I actually recently just lost one of my patrons. I had somebody pull out their money, which is kind of disappointing. I currently only have 4. I have 4 patrons, which is really not a lot, and I would love for it to be more because it seems like a decent source of, getting money to help fund this sort of thing. However, I've done nothing on Patreon, so honestly, I deserve to not have any Patreon supporters. I'm not really sure what I want to do on Patreon, so I'm working to improve that, and I promise that I will put more effort into Patreon, and hopefully with some effort into that account, you'll see some results with more Patreon supporters. But if you really like me, if you really like the show, if you like LegoLee329 and all the content that I am doing, I would ask you kindly to go check me out on Patreon. And one other place you can find me is for my brand new podcast that I started just last week called Research Purposes. I'm super excited about it. I have an Instagram for that podcast as well. It's at Research Purposes Podcast on Instagram. You can stream that podcast on Spotify and Apple. It's under the name Lee Parham, not under LegoLee329, but please go check out that podcast. I'm super hyped about that show. I think it's going to be awesome, so go check that out. Now, right before we jump into today's theme, I do need to preface something. Basically, on Brickology, you've probably noticed I've done a bunch of what I would call unofficial series or little mini-series within Brickology. For example, I've done a Star Wars mini-series. Each season of Brickology so far has had 2 episodes of Star Wars each. So I have 6 total episodes of Star Wars, and I'm working my way through Star Wars in chronological order. I want to do the same thing for another license theme. I've also been doing this with Ninjago. Each season of Brickology has had a different Ninjago episode. And I want to start another unofficial miniseries with Harry Potter. So last season, the 9th episode of season 2, I did an episode about Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. So, kind of like Star Wars, I'm going to follow the movies in chronological order and do just one Harry Potter episode a season, and it's always going to be this penultimate 9th episode of the season. So today's episode is based off of course, the second Harry Potter film, and that is Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Now, as per usual here on Brickology, we like to talk about the history of our source material before we talk about the actual LEGO history of this source material. And of course, the Chamber of Secrets and Harry Potter in general has a lot of lore and history and crazy stories surrounding it. If you want to learn more about Harry Potter's history just in general, I would ask you to go stream the episode I did about the Sorcerer's Stone, because I explain more history of the Harry Potter books and its author, J.K. Rowling, in that episode. I don't need to reiterate all of those points today. We're just going to specifically talk about some of the brief history of the Chamber of Secrets book, the movie, and then of course get into the LEGO set. So, talking about the Chamber of Secrets, obviously, it is the first sequel to Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's or Philosopher's Stone if you are across the pond, and the novel was released in the year 1998, which I was 1 year old when this novel came out, so obviously I did not read the novel right off the bat. I believe I probably read the book 2005, 6-ish. It was around the time that like Half-Blood Prince and Deathly Hallows were coming out. I was like catching up with my brothers and my mom, who were also reading the newer books at the time, once I was, of age to read these sort of books. And the film adaptation was released in the year 2002. Now, I was 5 years old in 2002, so I actually do remember seeing this movie in theaters. And it came out exactly pretty much 1 year after Sorcerer's Stone was released. Now, it's usually unusual for a movie sequel to come out just 1 year after, because, it takes a long time to make a movie. However, the filmmakers and Warner Brothers as a studio made a very calculated and smart decision that they filmed these films back to back. And the main reason they did this was to ensure that the kids remained looking appropriately aged for the characters. So obviously, if you know your Harry Potter lore, you go to Hogwarts when you're 11. So in Sorcerer's Stone, they are supposed to be 11 years old, which means in Chamber of Secrets, they are supposed to be 12. And these are preteens. They have not quite hit puberty yet. And obviously, once an actor hits puberty, it's kind of done. You can't really go back. So they really needed to pump these ones out as soon as possible. You can definitely see, because it takes 2 years for Prisoner of Azkaban to come out in 2004, and you can see just a big jump in the way all the actors look in that film versus this film. But they made a very smart decision that they had their actors looking mostly the appropriate age for Chamber of Secrets, which was definitely a smart decision on Warner Brothers' part. And this movie was directed by Christopher Columbus, who also directed the first Harry Potter film as well. Not the explorer who sailed the ocean blue in 1492, no, the famous movie director Christopher Columbus. And it was the highest grossing movie of 2002. The only movie ahead of it was Lord of the Rings and The Return of the King. And fun fact about 2002, I believe it's the only year ever to have a Harry Potter movie, to have a Lord of the Rings movie, to have a Star Wars movie, to have a Star Trek movie, and to have a James Bond movie, along with an X-Men movie and a Spider-Man movie. I mean, seriously, pretty much every big movie series we've had for the past 40-some odd years had a movie in 2002, which is just a fun little fact about that year, although a lot of the movies that came out that year really weren't all that great. Now, Chamber of Secrets was a mostly critically acclaimed film. All of the Harry Potter movies, not counting the Fantastic Beasts films, had been critically acclaimed. However, it's one of the lowest rated Harry Potter movies. I believe on Rotten Tomatoes, it's maybe the second lowest rated or the third lowest rated of all the movies in the franchise, and I've had many people tell me it's their least favorite. I'm just serious. Like, people have told me that this is their least favorite Harry Potter movie. Now, I recently rewatched the entire series with my roommate who hadn't really seen them in a long time, and I thought I liked Chamber of Secrets a little bit more than I did. I can admit that it is one of the weaker movies. It's the longest of all the Harry Potter movies. It definitely drags in certain points, and I do think it is the bottom half of Harry Potter. However, for me personally, I like it a little bit more than movies like 4 and 5, simply because of nostalgia. I have just like this childlike nostalgic attachment to this film in particular. I just love the very wholesome, magical, and kiddie vibe that the first 2 Harry Potter movies bring, and all the Harry Potter movies after that completely lost that vibe for, understandable reason. The story gets darker with those films and books, but I do love the vibe that this movie has, but it is one of the weaker Harry Potter films. So that's a little brief history of the source material. Now we can jump into talking about the Lego Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets sets themselves. The majority of the Chamber of Secrets sets were released the same year the movie came out, which was 2002. The first set on our list today is called Quidditch Practice. This was a $13 set with 128 pieces, almost a perfect price per piece there, and the figures included with this set were Harry Potter in his Quidditch outfit and Draco Malfoy also in his Quidditch outfit, and of course in the book and film Draco was added to the Slytherin Quidditch team to be their seeker in his second year after his dad Lucius Malfoy got the team the nice brand new broom, the Nimbus 2001. You also got Madame Hooch in this set, who is the head of Ravenclaw House, which is my personal Harry Potter house. As for the build of this set, if you've seen a Lego Quidditch set, this is one of the original ones. They keep doing the same thing over and over. For these Quidditch sets, you get the 3 hoops, and you get a small stand. Now, this stand in particular was split down the middle between Gryffindor and Slytherin, which is not really what it looks like in the movie. What they did with the 2018 Quidditch set is a lot more accurate. Also, a lot more accurate is the way they did the snitch in the newer sets, because the snitch in this set was literally just a gold stud piece. But for 2002, I think that's a fairly decent representation of that piece. The next set on our list here is Eragog in the Dark Forest. This was a $20 178 piece set. The figures included with this set were Harry Potter and Ron Weasley, both in street clothes. Now, the build of this set, of course, includes a brick-built Aragog, our first ever version of him in Lego form. Honestly, look up pictures of what this original Aragog build looks like, because it's so chonky and weird, and honestly, I just think it looks whack. And I'm not really entirely sure why Lego committed so hard to brick building this particular character when in this series alone, the Basilisk has a specialized piece, Fluffy from the Sorcerer's Stone had a specialized piece, the Troll, also from Sorcerer's Stone, had its own custom molds, but Aragog got no new molds, no new prints, completely brick built, and that's been fine for newer renditions of this character, but in 2002, Lego just did not have the parts catalog or the design capabilities to make Aragog look very good, and it just is such an awkward and ugly looking design. It's also completely in black, which Aragog is not a black spider. He is more of a brown color, so just not a very good representation of Aragog. However, ironically, the side builds of this set, the Dark Forests, are actually very good. You have this awesome little section. It's basically a 16 by 16 green base plate that has some trees and owls and spider webs on it that has one of the more clever play features I've ever seen. I actually recently got this set for a pretty good price, new sealed on eBay, and I was blown away by this play feature, especially for 2002. Essentially what you do is just pull a little piece and all of these spider webs collapse in to trap one of the minifigures, and it's really well done. It's activated using Lego string pieces. I'd never seen anything quite like it. That is actually an awesome play feature that was super cool with this set. You also had a side build of a tree that opens up to reveal hidden secrets, because Lego loves hiding things in trees. And ironically, the set that came out this year for the Forbidden Forest with Guap is based off the Order of the Phoenix, also has a tree in in the Forbidden Forest with hidden features inside. It's so funny to me that LEGO is still doing the same kind of silly play features 18 years later. The next set from this list is the $30 278-piece set known as Escape from Privet Drive. This set includes Harry Potter and Ron Weasley in their street clothes. You also get the Flying Ford Angela, this is the first appearance of this vehicle in LEGO form. This is not going to be the last time you will hear about this vehicle in today's episode. It also was included in the 2010 Hogwarts Express set, which was the first remake of this. However, the majority of that Hogwarts Express set is actually based off Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Most of the figures in that set are Half-Blood Prince related figures, so that's kind of a weird mixing of two movies that aren't even that close to each other in the timeline, so I'm not really going to dive in too much for that set in today's episode. We'll save it for a Half-Blood Prince episode in the future. And for Privet Drive, of course, is the other build of this set. There was a play feature to rip Harry's window off and help him escape, as he does in the film. Now, we also got a remake of this set just this year in 2020. It's actually the last set from this new line of Harry Potter sets that I have yet to purchase. I really need to get on that because it looks like a fantastic set. Now, it also has moments based off the Sorcerer's Stone, like all the letters flying through the door and some of the outfits the characters are wearing. So it's not 100% based off the Chamber of Secrets, but it does include Dobby. It does include the cake that Dobby levitates, and it does include yet again the Flying Ford, which we'll mention later on in another part of this episode as well. So it has a lot of the scenes based off the Chamber of Secrets, but it also has some scenes based off the Sorcerer's Stone. And for the most part, today's episode, we're going to focus on the Chamber of Secrets specific sets, but I will mention when Chamber of Secrets stuff appears in other sets. Does that make sense? All right, let's continue. For $50 with 446 pieces, we had Dumbledore's Office. The figures included with this set were, of course, Harry Potter, Albus Dumbledore, and then Professor McGonagall. And the build for this set was a very tall, tower-like section of Hogwarts. Now, if you listened to my first Harry Potter episode, you would know the original LEGO Harry Potter Hogwarts sets were all modular. They sold lots of small chunks of Hogwarts, and you could combine them to build a bigger Hogwarts display, kind of like the new Hogwarts sets, except the new Hogwarts sets are just much bigger. So this was a pretty big chunk of Hogwarts, and the build was very cool. It had the spiral staircase that leads to Dumbledore's office, which is an accurate detail to the film. However, the LEGO version did not have that cool eagle-like statue in the middle. And the office itself has some rather interesting details, including a desk and chair and some bottles and potions and some hidden things that you can spin around to reveal little treasures and secrets, what LEGO loved to do with these original Harry Potter sets. And you also had this feature where it had this like spinning spell thing above the desk that had a printed dish, which I'm not entirely sure what's going on there, but it added some cool pieces to this set. And overall, I really liked this set. I actually got this set off eBay. It was probably about 10-ish years ago now. It's been a hot minute since I got this set off eBay, but I loved this set. I thought it was a very, very cool set. The next set we're going to talk about is the $70 591-piece set, the flagship set of the line, and that is the Chamber of Secrets itself. The figures included with this set were Harry Potter, Ron Weasley, the first ever appearance of Ginny Weasley in LEGO, the first ever appearance of Tom Riddle in LEGO, and the first ever appearance of Gilderoy Lockhart, the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher for Year 2 at Hogwarts in LEGO as well. Now, the build for this set, of course, has a very small representation of the girls' bathroom. Even though this set came out 18 years ago, it took 18 years until LEGO made Harry Potter Collectible Minifigure Series 2 for them to make a Moaning Myrtle figure to actually go with this backroom, which is very interesting. It does have a trapdoor feature that kind of slides the figure down into the Chamber of Secrets itself, just like it happens in the movie. And the chamber itself has, the big hallway with these printed snake heads, really cool design. And at the back, you had the head build of Salazar Slytherin, and the mouth could open up for the Basilisk to slide on out. Now, if you want to see what this Basilisk looks like, go to my Instagram account. I posted a photo of it yesterday on my Instagram comparing the Basilisk to the version that came in the 2018 Hogwarts Great Hall set. I'll talk about that here in just a second. But basically, this is a cool play feature. And the Basilisk was a new mold, had some specialized pieces, has some cool prints, and it used glow-in-the-dark knife pieces as its fangs, which those pieces by themselves are worth a lot on Bricklink currently, which is very cool. Additionally, the snake walls, like all these Harry Potter sets, you could open them up and reveal little treasures. You also got a new mold for Fawkes the Phoenix. Yet again, it took LEGO 18 years to remake Fawkes the Phoenix in a molded form. They did a brick-built version, but in a molded form in 2018 with the Series 2 minifigures. Very cool details with this set. And of course, it also has Harry with the sword of Godric Gryffindor coming out of the sorting hat. Now, this set has never been remade. In 18 years, LEGO has yet to remake this set. They have not remade the Chamber of Secrets. Now, like I said, we got a quote-unquote Basilisk that came in the 2018 Hogwarts Great Hall set. That Basilisk was brick-built. It used mixel ball joints, and it was black for some reason, even though the Basilisk is clearly green in the movie, and it's one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. The Great Hall set is great, don't get me wrong, that is a fantastic LEGO set, but that Basilisk in particular was a pathetic excuse for a Basilisk from LEGO. That was just awful. I don't know what LEGO was thinking there. They completely dropped the ball with that. And the fact that we've never gotten a certified remake of the Chamber of Secrets, especially with all the pieces LEGO has today and the capabilities they would have of making a new Basilisk piece, is beyond me. LEGO, what are you doing, guys? Make a new Chamber of Secrets set. It could be a Hogwarts expansion. It would look awesome. Everyone, I think even people don't love the movie, people like that scene, and it's a cool scene. And they even go back to the chamber in the Deathly Hallows Part 2. So why are you not remaking this set? Come on, LEGO, get on top of that ASAP. And one more little detail, this Chamber of Secrets set was voted by my fans on Instagram as the best set from Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Very fitting that the actual Chamber of Secrets set itself was voted as the best Chamber of Secrets set. And frankly, I don't know if it's the best design. Some of the newer stuff has better designs, but it's a great representation of the scene, especially for 2002 in LEGO. And I actually got this set on eBay this past summer for a very good deal. I paid like $70 for this set, or something ridiculously cheap for a set that's going for a lot more from that. And I even got the box. So I got a very good deal for this set on eBay. And I honestly, after building it, I can't really disagree. It's a great set, and I'm glad that it won the fan vote. Okay, getting a little bit smaller with sets from the Chamber of Secrets, we have the $7 70-piece, perfect price per piece here, set known as Dobby's Release. This set, of course, came with the first ever version of Dobby the House Elf in LEGO form, and you also got Lucius Malfoy in LEGO form as well in the first time. The build of this set was a small little corner of Hogwarts, very, very, very petite little corner of Hogwarts. It had like a small desk, not really much going on with the build here, but it did include Tom Riddle's diary, which was a LEGO book piece that could open up to reveal a printed tile that had a sock on it, which means when Dobby gets the sock from his master, Dobby is free, which is a great scene in the movie. And then Lucius Malfoy literally almost kills Harry Potter for hiding that sock in the book. He pulls out his wand from his awesome cane with the snake in, and he almost says Avada Kedavra to kill Harry Potter, but Dobby pushes him out of the way. What a great moment. One of my favorite moments of that film. And they remade this set in 2010 called Freeing Dobby. It only had 3 more pieces, 73 pieces, but cost $10. And it had a similar, like, small little chunk of Hogwarts style build, but this time it included Harry Potter as an additional feature. And the very cool thing about this set in particular is it had a feature to launch Malfoy. It was very simple. You just push a Technic rod and he went flying, but it did have a very cool little added play feature where you could make Lucius Malfoy go flying like he does in the movie. So that is the remake of Dobby's Freeing Dobby. Next up for $20 with 129 pieces was the Dueling Club. This set included Harry Potter, Draco Malfoy, Severus Snape, who, back in the day, Snape, for some reason completely unknown to mankind, had a glow-in-the-dark head, and we also got Gilderoy Lockhart. Now, the build for this set included a large chair that could spin around for Snape with this chunk of Hogwarts that also had some Hogwarts banners hanging. Interesting build. Not really sure what this is supposed to... This is an interesting build. Not really sure what this was supposed to represent, but it was pretty cool. And you also got the dueling stage itself, and it used an interesting reverse trapdoor mechanism. So you used the trapdoor pieces, but instead of flipping them down, you flipped them up to make the figures go flying like they are in the movie when they are dueling each other respectively. And it also included a snake from that one spell that Malfoy uses, and of course in the movie, Harry talks to the snake in Parseltongue to the dismay and shock of many people in the audience, and it really freaks out some people and lead them to believe that Harry actually might be the heir to Salazar Slytherin. Very, very interesting set, and it had some very cool mini figures. The next set from this list here was a small $10 set with 90 pieces, known literally as, the set is just called Slytherin. A more appropriate name would have been Slytherin Common Room, but Slytherin is literally just the name of this set. The figures included with this set were Draco Malfoy. You also got Harry Potter disguised as Goyle and Ron Weasley disguised as Crabbe. And I really wish LEGO made a Cat Hermione figure, and they still haven't. They missed a good opportunity with the most recent collectible minifigure series. LEGO, get on top of that, man. Please just make a Cat Hermione figure. I would love to see that character in LEGO form. And the build for this set, like I said, is the Slytherin Common Room, and there's not really much going on inside this build. You literally get a small table with some potions and a printed tile on the wall, and that's it. Very, very boring set. So that is all she wrote for the 2002 Chamber of Secrets sets. They released a couple more sets the following year in 2003. The first one is called Quality Quidditch Supplies. This is another $10 set with 120 pieces. The figure included with this set was Draco Malfoy, and that's it. No other figures in this set, and oddly enough, that means it's one of the very few LEGO Harry Potter sets to not include the titular character Harry Potter himself, which I find very interesting. Now, the storefront is, of course, for Quality Quidditch Supplies store in Diagon Alley. It sells some capes and broomsticks and flags and, various quality Quidditch supplies. And this store was actually just remade as one of the storefronts in the 2020 Diagon Alley set, which is very cool. Next up, in 2003, we got the $20 209-piece set known as Nocturne Alley. This set included Harry Potter and Lucius Malfoy. Malfoy really shouldn't have been in this set, but LEGO threw him in anyways, and the build for this set is the Borgin and Burke's Storefront. It's a creepy black, sand blue, and dark blue color scheme, which is a very good use of colors for this set, and it features a chimney for Harry to come out of. Obviously, if you've read the book or seen the movies, Harry Potter messes up the Floo powder network and says diagonally instead of Diagon Alley, and ends up in Borgin and Burke's instead. Now, interestingly enough, both versions of the Burrow set, the Weasley's house that LEGO has made, include a representation of the Weasley's chimney and Floo powder network, which is used in the Chamber of Secrets. However, both of those Burrows sets are more specifically based off their appearances from the Half-Blood Prince rather than the Chamber of Secrets. Man, I feel like I keep mentioning sets based off the Half-Blood Prince because, I mean, seriously, it's like there's a lot of weird connectivity between this and that for the LEGO respective ways, but that episode won't be coming for quite a few more seasons here on Brickology. Now, as for this Diagon Nocturne Alley set, it was a small shop with interior details, including a nice printed tile of the hand that Harry touches. This always freaked me out when I watched the Chamber of Secrets when I was a kid. He touches that hand, and of course it grabs him down, and it's got kind of like a jump scare noise. Very creepy scene. And this particular building was remade in the 2011 Diagon Alley set. Yet again, though, it was based off its appearance from, say it with me, the Half-Blood Prince. In the 2020 Diagon Alley set hints at a Nocturne Alley expansion, perhaps at some point in the future, but they have not made or remade a Nocturne Alley set since 2011 and its original 2003 set. Now, obviously, I mentioned a fair number of random sets from the Chamber of Secrets that came out in the mid to late 2000s and early 2010s. However, we're doing a very big time jump. We're going from 2003 all the way to 2018 with the first reboot wave of Harry Potter sets that LEGO released. Now, the smallest set they released in 2018 was the $15 157-piece set known as Eragog's Lair. This set included Harry Potter, now with short legs, which was new for 2018, and Ron Weasley in their street clothes, and the build was a brick-built Aragog, which LEGO has made so many better pieces for Aragog that this version looks a lot better, has printed eyes, creepy spider pieces, very good design, and actually makes for a pretty solid looking Aragog, especially compared to the one that came out in 2002, and there actually was a third Aragog that came with the 2010 Hagrid's Hut set, but the rest of that set wasn't really based off Chamber of Secrets. It's getting very confusing, but just note that there are 3 different versions of Eragog in LEGO form, and of course, with a Forbidden Forest set, you gotta get a tree. And this set had a tree that had some mushrooms and some spiders and a spider web, and yeah, that's pretty much all about that there was there. It was a tree. It's a fine little tree. It didn't have any features, though. It did not have a hidden feature where there was something hidden inside the tree, which is very un-LEGO-like for Harry Potter sets. Now, the next set from 2018 was the Hogwarts Whomping Willow. This was a $70 753-piece set that included the figures of Harry Potter, Ron Weasley, Hermione Granger, and if Hermione's name sounds not familiar for today's episode, that's because this is actually the first set from any of these Chamber of Secrets specific sets to include Hermione, which I find very odd, just a weird statistic among these sets. You also got Snape, who of course is no longer glow in the dark. You got a Seamus Finnegan figure, who remains exclusive to this set to this day, and you also got Filch, but no Mrs. Norris. Come on, LEGO. Why would you give us a Filch figure, but not give us a Mrs. Norris figure? That's definitely a disappointment. Now, the build for this set, again, the Flying Ford, a new design for it that looks very good, but it just seems like we keep getting this Flying Ford over and over again. But we got the first ever representation of the Whomping Willow in LEGO form, which had articulated branches and a spinning around play feature with a gear mechanism, and even a play feature representing a little hole you could go into that leads to the Shrieking Shack, although that is a specific detail from the Prisoner of Azkaban. And the Ford can fit in the tree, which is a very cool play feature, especially for displaying it. I do really like that. The other build of this set is a pretty nice little stretch of Hogwarts. It has an archway that the Ford can drive through, so it's kind of representing the courtyard of Hogwarts that we see the Ford crash into with the Whomping Willow. in the movie. An interesting fact, the Whomping Willow in the Prisoner of Azkaban movie is on the outskirts of Hogwarts, closer to the Forbidden Forest in Hagrid's hut. It's not in the courtyard, so between movies, it just like magically teleports for some reason, which is very, very odd. But the stretch of Hogwarts we get with this set includes a few nice little rooms. You get some dorms, you get the potions classroom for Professor Snape, and speaking of Snape, you also get his office. So lots of very cool rooms and little details, and overall this was a great Hogwarts expansion set, and I really like what LEGO has done with the modern Harry Potter sets and their chunks of Hogwarts. They've all been very, very good. And since I mentioned the 2024 Privet Drive set earlier in today's episode, that is all she wrote for LEGO Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Now, I might have missed something. If I did miss something, please let me know, because LEGO loves to scatter these Harry Potter details throughout multiple sets, and it's hard to really pick up on everything. I think I got everything, but if I missed something, definitely let me know. And like I said, look out for that fan vote episode of Brickology coming next week. That's going to be really fun. You'll be able to find the fan vote on my Instagram page, so follow me on there and check me out on all those other platforms I mentioned at the beginning of today's episode. And if you have any questions for me, just shoot me an email. It's legolee329@gmail.com. Shoot me an email over there, and I'd be happy to talk to you and answer any questions you have. And again, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. Also, listen to my other podcast, Research Purposes. I'm very proud of that, and I love if you listen to that. Give me some feedback on that podcast as well. Thank you so much for listening. Peace out. Bye-bye.